The FC26 Career Mode deep dive was released less than 2 weeks ago, and there's already been a lot of hype in the community over the new features that EA will be adding into the next game in their FC franchise. Manager market, authentic gameplay, and better stat tracking are just a few major positives for the upcoming game, but since then, a lot more new features have been confirmed for FC26 after some people in the community were given access to the game through EA's closed beta. In this video, I'll cover all of the new features that you might not be aware of, but before I get into the video, don't forget to leave a like and support the channel, and subscribe if you haven't already, because there's a chance if you leave the video you won't come across this channel ever again. So if you do enjoy the video and you're interested in the other content that I make on this channel, make sure that you hit that red button to keep in the loop of all the content coming up soon. So yeah, let's just go through all these features one by one. Now, all of these I found on X through different sources. The main person who I've been following on X who's talked a lot about his experience with the beta is a guy called Off the Bench. He was one of the lucky people who's been able to get access to the beta for FC26 and be able to test things out, and he's been kind enough to let the community know about various parts of the game. He's talked about some new unexpected events that we wasn't aware of in the official deep dive, and how manager and player transfers are in the game, whether they're broken, like how realistic they are, how the menus are, how any new sliders that we've got, and how authentic gameplay is. So I'm going to cover all those things in the video. I've also asked my own questions over on X, and I'm going to share with you the answers to those questions at the end of the video as well. And we're just going to get an idea of what to expect for FC26. Is this likely to live up to the hype that EA set us in the reveals? Because at the end of the day, anyone can create a nice fancy trailer, but it's how the game actually runs. And even though the beta isn't a final product, I do think that it is definitely more reliable than just some trailers. So I already covered in my FC26 Career Mode reveal video about the unexpected events. Now, I already spoke about 9 different unexpected events there, but there's a couple more here that I'm going to talk about. Now, Off the Bench here, he tells us about a use it or lose it scenario. So the club has decided that any remaining transfer budget will not carry over to the next season and be redirected towards other priorities. With X amount being left, it's up to you to invest in the squad improvements before the season ends to strengthen the team. Now, I'm not a big fan of this in general. Like when they used to have board targets about having to spend all your transfer budget and things like that, I don't really understand the realism with this. If the club performs well on the pitch and you're saving the board money, then surely that should benefit you. I'm not really a big fan of this one. But we'll move on to the complete opposite, where we've got carefree improvements. So the board offers 100% carryover for any remaining budget into the next season. As a manager, you can choose to hold back on spending now, allowing a substantial investment next year to significantly enhance the squad. The choice is in your hands. I feel like this should be more common than the one that we've just spoken about. At the end of the day, logically, if you want to carry over some money, why can't you do that? I would hope that this isn't completely random, and it would vary on the teams that you're managing, but I'm not entirely sure that is going to be the case. So we'll just see how it is in the game. I feel like this is a bit iffy, these two scenarios. But one unexpected event, which in my opinion, I think this might be the best one to get added into the game, is training injuries. So in the game currently, players can only get injured during matches. So now you'll get random injuries come up through just training. So this is a lot more realistic. This happens in real life a lot. And also what comes with this is that goalkeepers can now get injured as well. I don't know if they can get injured in the matches, but I think a lot of these injuries are just going to be like little ones, like 1 week, 2 weeks, 5 weeks. They're not going to be seriously major injuries. Maybe the odd one will pop up, but this is something I wanted in the game. I'm all for this because I've been quite conflicted with injuries in the past, because on the one hand you want regular injuries to make it a challenge so that you rotate the squad, but on the other hand you don't want a ton of injuries and they're all like 9 months, and it just ruins the potential and growth of loads of players in your squad. So I do think that this is definitely a step in the right direction, and the fact that goalkeepers can get injured, it now means that you will have to get backup goalkeepers, and this is actually important. You've got to put them on the bench. This again, it's just realistic, and even this is quite cool actually. So Off the Bench here says, I've got unexpected events on high, and I just had my first one. Training injury clash. I got 2 players injured at once, and obviously it can be a starting player, it can be a reserve player. I'm guessing it's completely random, but yeah, I mean, again, it sounds like these are going to be more frequent. All of the different events, they're not going to be as likely as each other to pop up. I am definitely a fan of this. The next unexpected event I'm going to talk about is homesick players. So they'll send you a message saying, boss, I'm feeling homesick, struggling to adjust to life at your club. This has been the first time I've been away from home for so long. Is there anything that can be done to help me? Then you're going to get 2 options here. So you can either help him settle. So why don't you let us know what your favorite food from home is, and we can add it to the menu this week, a taste of home. I'm sure the rest of the team would love it too. Or you can just tell him to focus. So I understand that you're finding it tough to acclimatize. However, this is the reality of this career. The best thing you can do right now is focus on football. Now, this just seems like this will affect morale. There isn't actually an option where it makes you sell the players. So I feel like this is just a bit of a boring one. It's not really going to make you think too much about what you're going to do. I'm imagining that most people are just going to pick the first option because it has no consequence whatsoever. So yeah, I don't know. It's cool like having homesick players, but this seems like it's lacking a little bit of depth. Now, the homesick event was one that may isn't going to have too much bearing on your career. This exit interview one seems like chaotic, and this would really wind up some players, to be honest. It has come to our attention that Mainu has been making scathing press declarations and interviews publicly discussing his wish to leave the team. We're asking you to take a stand on this and quickly resolve the issue. So you can either terminate the contract of the player or isolate them and sell them. So if a situation with a player gets to this stage, you can't even like keep them. You're basically like you either sell them or you terminate the contract. Why would you terminate the contract? That makes no sense. Now, I'm just hoping with this that this just doesn't happen randomly. Just a random player all of a sudden will be talking in the press about leaving. I hope it's going to be players that are really unhappy at the club for a period of time, and then potentially they just force the move out. If it is like that, I can definitely get behind this. I feel like, again, managing players' morale and things like that, there needs to be more of a consequence. If you push a player to this point, then I'm not against it, but if this just randomly pops up and the player that's happy at the club, who's been playing really well for you, all of a sudden just forces his way out the club, I do think that is a bit broken, and even it's not even realistic. Like, there are players in real life that have tried to force a move through and then it's not happened. They've ended up like signing a contract. Maybe they should add a third option where you can sign them to a new contract, but it does mean that you maybe have to pay like really much higher terms, for example. And apparently, if a player has submitted a transfer request to the club and you haven't sold them, the board can sell them behind your back as well. So again, something that you need to monitor and make sure that players aren't getting unhappy. Again, I'm not against this aspect of the game as long as it isn't broken, as long as you're not just randomly getting players handing transfer requests. If you're mishandling the player and then they want to leave after so long, I get it, it happens in football, but I feel like these kind of features, if they're just remotely broken, it is going to really wind up some of the users with this game. So I don't know, we'll just have to see, but these are definitely interesting. This can go one or two ways. Onto something that I think definitely looks like a big positive for FC26. Now, I spoke about it in my reveal video. One or two YouTubers that were speaking really positively about authentic gameplay after playing it themselves. Now, off the bench here, who has played the beta, also said some positive things about authentic mode. One thing here that should be in the game regardless, but I will give credit, is that you can still edit the gameplay sliders with authentic mode. Now, a lot of people within the community have misunderstood this and just thought it's a new version of simulation mode, it's just sliders, but authentic mode is going to impact animations, AI, it's not just sliders. And I think the fact that it is a separate part of the settings and then you've got sliders as well kind of reaffirms that the EA have actually put some work in the background. It's not a cop-out feature like simulation mode was last year. There is actually going to be a really big difference between authentic and simulation mode, and the people that have played the beta and tested the game at events and things like that have all said pretty much that there's massive differences between the two gameplays. So I'm really happy for this, and again reaffirming this, that there's going to be more realistic defending from AI players, changes with skill moves, in-game reactions, increased influence of physics on the ball movement, tuning changes, and a bit more realistic fatigue as well. So this isn't just going to be sliders, and I'm really happy for this. If the AI are a little bit smarter, then that's a really positive thing going forward. And I've seen one or two people also say that the AI are actually smarter this year, like they will adapt to how you play as well. Again, I don't know whether this is something that's maybe placebo, like people think because they're expecting better gameplay, they think it, but I have seen one or two people say this and they felt like the AI have adapted the style of play in a game to make it more challenging for you when you're playing. I'm really happy about this if this is the case. Again, we just need more of a challenging gameplay. I think the game is just so one-dimensional and easy in FC25, and it really ruined the game. You can make as many changes to career mode as you want, but if the gameplay is terrible, you are fighting an uphill battle. Overheaded goals are apparently much better as well. They improved them at the end of FC25, but they still had issues, but apparently people are actually regularly scoring headed goals now, so that again is a positive. And again, another positive thing here, that some teammates are making attacking runs are much better. Some of the goal line clearances and things like that, and goalkeeper saves. Again, this is a good thing. If we're just improving the game in different areas, what can we moan about? Hopefully, if this is true and the gameplay is this good, the EA don't tweak it too much And again, there's a few tweets here that talk about how you can still adjust the gameplay however you want with the sliders, which me personally is something that I think is a game changer. Like, anyone who doesn't play with sliders is really missing out. Honestly, it makes the gameplay so much better. Don't get me wrong, it was still broken in FC25, but playing the default gameplay is just horrendous. And even with authentic, if they make it amazing, people are still going to want slightly different things. So having different sliders, it means you can tweak the experience. So the more that we get, the better. And we're getting a few added in here apparently. So tackle assistance, ball deflection error, intercept, header pass error, and header shot error, they're all going to be added into the game. And again, I'm all for this. Just give us more and more options and fix the AI. That's pretty much it. Like, I'm pretty happy with that. Now let's go away from the gameplay for a bit, back onto career mode. Now, board objectives have been changed a little bit. We're not going to get any targets now for youth development, brand exposure, and financial. It's more going to be based around performances on the pitch, which a lot of people were asking for, to be fair. So EA have listened and adapted the game as the community wanted. For me personally, don't get me wrong, I'm not mad at this. I'm not going to miss these targets that much, but they were cool just to see what you'd get. I just wish these had a really small significance on your status at the club, and maybe there was a bit more realistic. If there were just like little things you could do on the side just to earn a little bit more favor with your board, that's cool. I do think board objectives had a bit more potential. For example, if they were a bit more realistic and case by case by each club. So for example, if you're managing Brentford, maybe to sign more Danish players, or if you're playing with Wolves, to sign more Portuguese players. If you're using an MLS or Saudi club, maybe the brand exposure is a little bit more important. Like, if these were realistic, then I would get it a little bit more, but they weren't. You know, with financial, like I said earlier, boards sometimes would ask you to spend all of your budget. That makes no sense whatsoever. You know, teams that are in debt in real life, I feel like a financial target would have been cool. If you're making loads of profit on players, then that should massively increase your reputation with your club, especially if you're still doing the work on the pitch. So I'm not against this. I think it's an improvement, but I do think that EA missed the mark with some of these targets. I think they could have made things a lot more interesting if they would have just put in a little bit more depth into board objectives. Now, obviously, manager market was probably the most interesting new feature that was revealed in the FC26 deep dive. Now, there's a few manager transfers here that Off the Bench has said happened in his save in the beta. Now, they seem generally okay, I guess. I mean, they're European, so I don't really know too much how realistic they are, but Pep going from Man City to Girona is a bit of a mad one, and then Simeone going in to replace him. So as I kind of anticipated, I think there's going to be a few teething issues with some of these manager transfers. There might be a lack of realism, and a lot of people might meme the game over something like this. I still think, even with the odd weird transfer going through, I still think it's way better than managers just staying in the same place. Like, for every Pep going to Girona, which is really random and strange, it's more realistic than every manager in the game not transferring at all for 15 years. So I'm going to give this feature a little bit of patience to this feature. As long as it isn't too broken, I think like it's going to be expected there might be the odd bit of teething issues. And you know, with player transfers, they never manage to fully perfect that, and there's always been issues with it. So with manager transfers, I wouldn't be expecting it to be perfect. If you're going to be buying the game, I definitely wouldn't be expecting that. But with manager transfers, we are going to get a new social media post, so some fans will talk about this. Another weird one here where Liverpool have appointed Mikel Arteta as the new manager, which is a bit of an odd choice. But yeah, one of the posts here saying, I don't care what anyone says, it's wrong to sack the boss. He was the right man, just needed time. Swapping him for Slot is shambolic. Bit of a weird one, yeah, and apparently the social media comments aren't any better, but we have got a few new posts that we are going to get on social media just to give us a little bit more depth in the game. So apparently, if there's a rivalry game, you will get a new post. So there's going to be both managers pictured side by side with lighting behind them, separating them with both team colours as the backgrounds. I mean, sure, that's cool, but we need like more cutscenes. Apparently, on the negative, there isn't going to be more cutscenes. I guess these social media posts are the best we're going to get regarding derby matches, which I'm not really that big of a fan on, especially if the comments are stupid. Like if there's a bit of back and forth banter between fan bases, that would be a bit cooler, but I don't know, it's still fine for like a cosmetic feature. Another one is they can show pictures of players in the gym and sometimes on the training ground on social media. So again, it's like really small things, but I guess they all add up. Talking of cosmetic features, Career Mode Tracker here created a thread on X regarding a few different visual additions that we're going to get into the game. So we're going to get some cutscenes around the streaming environments. Now this isn't just for Career Mode, it's more around the match day side of things. But we've already seen these in the trailers already. So you're going to see we're going to see like bus arrivals, fan zones, locker room cutscenes, more stuff outside the stadiums apparently as well. Also, Google Earth intros for Premier League clubs, which is like, I guess, a solid visual feature if you're managing a Premier League club, but it's not going to affect majority of teams in career mode. This is a bit of a shrug your shoulders thing. I mean, there's not really much being added here for mascots. A few new manager cinematics and animations, they're always going to add a few in each year. So getting a few touchline animations, you might notice a few different changes when you play FC26, but it isn't going to massively change things. A new dynamic camera, so apparently we'll be getting GoPro style views for set pieces, goalkeeper POVs, drone shots for celebrations. So yeah, that's fine, I guess. You can also customize some of the audio as well in the commentary aspects of things, which again, I feel like with some of these, we need to see it to see how good they are. You can also customize like player UIs, which again is like nice. It's like a nice feature, I suppose. One good setting that I think a lot of people will be using is that you can actually turn the POV camera off. So I don't know if this is just regarding the goal cutscenes. I really hope that is the case, because most people don't like these. I think they're so stupid. They're not immersive at all. They don't make things feel realistic. I think unless you play in a player career mode or clubs, they just don't really work for me. The same with the referee POVs and things like that. I hope you can really customize these and turn them off, because I just don't really like them, to be honest. Another funny thing here, there's loads of new weird settings for the start of career mode, but you can actually release players from your team before you start your career mode, which is kind of unrealistic, I guess, but I mean, fine. I think you can also disable like the youth academy, which is like a weird one. Like there's a manager market as well. Like there's a few weird settings in there, but I'm not going to knock EA for adding stuff in. If you want to customize the game however you want, then that's only a positive. Something quite cool that has also been confirmed is that you can now see potentials in FC26 Career Mode. So if you scout a player for long enough, you'll be able to see like what kind of potential they have in the game. This is really useful in particular for regen players who play for other clubs. So I don't mind this feature, to be honest. I think this is, again, a little cool thing that they've added in that I think will help a lot of players. Another thing here that I didn't really understand, but regarding potentials, apparently you can notice under the potential of some players that there will be in decline or peak, which apparently can vary depending on the age of the players and position. I don't really know what that means. We might have to see that a little bit further down the line when the game comes out, but it sounds interesting. I wish players did peak and decline at different ages. I don't think that's going to be added into the game, otherwise EA would have mentioned it, but little things like this, yeah, sure. I mean, that's interesting. And a little bit more positive feedback regarding the menu. Obviously, we added the menu in FC25 was pretty pants, but apparently it's a lot more responsive. It looks a little bit more colourful as well. Like, not amazing, but it's an improvement on what we had, which was just terrible this year. Regarding AI transfers, EA said that they were going to improve the intelligence of AI clubs, but there's been a few examples here, again, from off the bench, where teams are still stockpiling players in just one position, and it just feels a little bit random. There's some examples of individual transfers here, which I don't have an issue with. Obviously, Nuno Mendes going to West Ham's a bit of a weird one, but I don't think his rating will be that high because in the beta they don't update them. So actually, it's not as crazy as it looks. When FC26 comes out, he won't go to West Ham, I'd imagine. But if AI clubs are still stockpiling players, it just sounds like nothing's changed with AI transfers. Honestly, it sounds like the exact same as FC25. Maybe this is something that EA will fix. Again, at the end of the day, this is a beta. A couple of negatives, unfortunately. Trophy celebrations haven't changed, so they're just going to be the same as they have been for like the last 8 years or whatever. There doesn't seem to be any new additions to customization with hairstyles and things like that. That could always change, I guess, by the time of the game coming out. But again, that doesn't look great. Now, with all this information, I still had a few questions regarding the game and to those people that played the beta. So I put 7 questions on X here. Now, I got some DMs also answering these questions, but they all seem to have similar answers. So I'll just use this tweet as an example here from Dylan. Apparently, crane faces look a little bit different. They don't look as alien-like as they did in FC25. I'm not sure if they age or anything like that, but I guess crane faces maybe look a little bit better. It seems like you can't edit the appearance of generic players, which really sucks, to be honest. Like, I really think that would be something that would make the Youth Academy side of things cool, if you could just occasionally edit the hairstyle and beards and things of players and give them tattoos. If they're unlicensed, I don't see what the issue is. That's a bit of a disappointment, to be honest. Regarding dribbling in the gameplay, the general consensus seems to be that it's a little bit better, but I'm still getting people say it's a bit skatey. I think when they compare it to competitive, it's way better. So again, maybe a slight positive, but I'm not sure if the animations have really been changed regarding the dribbling. With generic managers, it seems that you can't really edit anything else than their names, which again is like a little bit of a disappointment. Player wages and transfer values were a little bit broken in FC25, and there's going to be no changes to that. Again, more disappointment with these questions that I asked. And from what I'm seeing, rush games don't really make a difference again to player development. So that's going to be another part of the game that I just don't really touch in FC26. So that is all the information I can get as of right now. There's a few little changes here and there that are positive. There's been a few things that I wanted added into the game that are just confirmed not to be in there. So let me know in the comments what you think of these bits of information. Do you think they're going to positively impact the game? What are you most looking forward to in FC26? Anything that you're really disappointed isn't added in? And like I said at the start of the video, hit a like if you've enjoyed it and you're still here at this point. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'm trying to get it to 1,000 subscribers and we're getting very close to it now. So that's my first target and I want to reach that very soon. The videos now should be a little bit more consistent. I have taken my foot off the pedal a little bit recently because I've been very busy with just life in general. So going forward, the videos will be a lot more consistent. So yeah, hopefully with this video, there'll be another one pop up in a few days as well. So I've got loads of different video ideas. It's just a case of recording and making them. But yeah, stick around on the channel. There's more stuff to come on the lead up to FC26. And yeah, thank you for watching this video and I'll see you in the next one.